Oh, hi there. I would like to discuss what is a bit of a concept, but it does actually exist, and that is the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead. It You get shades of it through the media. There was that Bruce Campbell movie, Evil Dead, An Army of Darkness. And I believe they made a different movie, I think in the 80s, about the Necronomicon. This thing, it's not a joke. It is a real thing. And depending on what your occupation is, you will be more aware of its contents. There have been a few things that have been available to the general public, such as the Faces of Death series, which most of them are fake. There was also Philosophy of a Knife, which was about the Japanese unit in World War II that experimented on people. All kinds of horrible things. The thing about it is, the Necronomicon is real, and within the pages of this, we'll call it a book. It could just all be online right now, and the book could just be a symbol. But all police officers know this thing exists. They'll deny it if you ask them, if you ever have to deal with them, and they'll just go, "Oh, you're paranoid. You don't know what you're talking about," kind of thing, because they're trained dogs. They don't answer questions they don't want to answer. And the thing about this Necronomicon is it has pictures in it, and video, that will terrify you. They're horrific. And it will totally change your perception on country-to-country squabbles. And how it's different to be Canadian or American as opposed to, let's say, Russian, North Korean, or Chinese. In World War II, a lot of the fighting was more or less straightforward. You probably died by cannon fire, snipers, landmines, that kind of stuff. Which is all pretty nasty. You don't want to be killed in any fashion. But there are a lot more sadistic ways of being killed. That certain guerrilla armies have an intimate knowledge of. I made mention in it in kind of a long, lengthy video where I did a lot of rambling, and I was just, I'd had a few drinks, and, I just wanted to talk and make a long video because I hadn't made a video that long before. But the point is, these guerrilla units, the current ones and the ones of the past, they still exist in the world. And they still have hate towards particularly Caucasians. We're the race that lucked out. We got the best continent in the world, and we also have Europe on our back. We got Australia. We've positioned ourselves quite well considering how low a population there actually is of Caucasian people. Other people have it a lot more harsh than we do. And when people have it more harsh, they become more desperate. And they become more desperate, they become more brutal. They don't live the comfortable life of I go to work, on my days off, maybe I go downtown and do a little shopping, maybe I eat in a restaurant, and all that kind of things. They live, eat, and breathe in a world that we can't comprehend. And in a lot of ways, they're tougher than we are just because of how they were raised, how they grew up, the society they existed in. And their version of the Necronomicon will influence their ability to do things against us should we have to fight against them. And you go, well, I'm a American citizen or Canadian citizen or whatever. If I don't want to fight, I'm a conscientious objector, I don't have to. Guess what? There's the draft. I think I mentioned this in another video. The draft can come along anytime. The government feels they need foot soldiers, the draft will come back. Just like that. There might be some politicians that oppose it and will resist it, but at the end of the day, these military men will impose their will. And you're going out there whether you like it or not. And these guerrilla forces, they don't care if in your controlled life, if you're a nice person or not. They don't care if you don't want to do anything bad, that you don't even want to be there. The fact is, if our government makes you go there, then they will get it in their head the worst image of you possible, which is unfair. I believe on, even if a military force came here, I would believe in dealing with people on a person-to-person basis. It takes a little bit more time, a little more patience, and sometimes you ain't got that, but just act on emotion, reflex. It doesn't do justice. A lot of bad things happen in these sort of situations, And this Necronomicon, it's lengthy because there are actual pictures that are in it from conflicts throughout history, more notably from World War II, Vietnam, bunch of little wars here and there in Iraq, and all those little things. And these are all kept from the public. And they're kept so far away from the public that people don't recognize when a phony one is presented to them. Like the video I made about Philando Castile. That was a phony video. But there were so many people who just don't want to believe it. I've been called all kinds of names because of that video. I don't care because they can't disprove any of my points. I mean, anybody could just hurl insults. Doesn't make you intelligent. In fact, that might even imply that those insults should be directed towards you. If you're calling me a retard, but you can't back up your claims, what does that say about you? Okay? So, there's that. The Necronomicon also holds pages of paintings, of ancient relics, perhaps coinage and money that survived from Roman times, depicting certain things. Roman currency was mostly of, political figures like Cleopatra, Nero, Caligula, those kind of guys, Julius Caesar, and those kind of people. And supposedly, the coins were depicted in such a way that they were relatively accurate to what the person actually looked like. So it's kind of funny, all these years that people thought Cleopatra was actually an attractive woman, but researchers and historians have looked at the coins and they reckon she's actually quite ugly. This whole Roman conversation I sort of brought into it has its purpose as well, because supposedly, and I got the idea from ancients behaving badly about Caligula and how he used to like throwing women and children and people off the side of mountains, because that's just how he got off, because he was a little bit of a nut job. So that in consideration, I guess the barbarians weren't always, the worst people out there in the ancient world, as the Romans would always depict them as in their propaganda, their mythology. So This Necronomicon spans for hundreds, thousands of years. Now, the data in the earlier days is fuzzy, distorted, biased, so, there's no real way of discerning the truth. Because as one historian said, history for ancient peoples was different than it is for modern day people. History is a story, and stories that are good are history. Doesn't mean they're accurate, because quite often they weren't, because they were written by people with biased opinions. Today, history is based on objective science, actual facts. But the thing is, the whole thing about history being depicted as a story still exists in the education system of history. To learn the real nitty-gritty about history, you gotta take these special courses, jump through hoops, go to school in the right areas, and luck out. But it's not that they're smarter, it's that they were more patient. Because the Necronomicon, education about history, this could all be told in such a manner that a person can learn everything they need to know in a couple of hours if somebody just explains it to them in a clear, coherent way. Not, oh, blah, 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 this happened. I've adopted the policy in some of my videos of, for lack of a better term, talking out of my ass. And then I might throw in a clip like leeches in the crotch in Vietnam, like I did in one video, 43-minute long video, and that was the main point in it, and I said it in like 20 seconds. So that was my version of throwing my little piece out there, and if you paid attention to my video, you would have noticed I said that, and maybe it got you thinking. But yeah, I'm telling you, man, so many people, third world types, come into this country that, okay, most of them are hardworking, innocent people who've done nothing wrong. But the shepherds of this flock, they know these little things, and they've most certainly gotten into the country. They hide in society, they know our laws, so perhaps even our legal establishment, the police, the judges, politicians, know of these certain individuals and do nothing. These certain individuals watch the local populace, the local native populace of North America, to monitor exactly what we're doing. Because the thing is, I'm kind of in support of bringing on upon a semi-fascist regime where people are supposed to think a certain way and they're easier to control, and maybe it results in a lot of people just being similar to each other in a sense that it's easy to get them to move in one direction and be one coherent fighting force if need be. The problem is, it's kind of German philosophy from World War II. Not necessarily all the bad things that happened of it, but just the whole mind control and being able to get the people to do what you want, because we live in a society where it's very difficult to actually get people to do what you want, especially on a massive scale. However, the government has secrets which they hide and reserve to make people wig out if something comes about, and they are to blame if they employ these propaganda tools to influence the masses into doing pretty much whatever they want. The problem with getting back to the German philosophy of World War II kind of thing is they can see us coming from a mile away. These infiltrators, these shepherds of the immigrants. Because the immigrants, they're sheep just like us. Most people are sheep. They can't help it. It's not a bad thing, but it means they know they have their small little world, and they function in society. They do their menial tasks, and that's all they do. They don't know how to think on a higher level. And as I've said in other videos, these Facebook and internet and TV things, particularly on the internet about the Anonymous Mask and how he's liberating us and freeing us from our prison of the mind, and also the Matrix one with Lawrence Fishburne going, I'll tell you this or I'll tell you that and it's the truth. Not necessarily. He could just be some asshole who wants you to think that you're learning the truth. And if you think that, then you will become content. And that's what they want. They want people who are a little bit smarter than their menial tasks to be content, which is, in a way, the next step above. But they're still peons and they're still sheep. Even if they use the term sheep and sheeple, you'll get a lot of idiots who go, oh, you're a sheep because you believe 9/11 was committed by terrorists. Yes, it was committed by terrorists. No, I'm not a sheeple because I don't think that it was a hologram that knocked down the trade towers. There's actually a fair amount of people who believe that. And absurd. Absolutely absurd. And I don't know entirely the definition of certain concepts and various mind control, because as a person who's only got a high school education, I've got a normal job, I do have to use a little bit of my imagination to describe what is probably going on through deductive reasoning, I might add, and logic, because these so-called manipulators of the government, manipulators of the masses, they know one lesson above us. They're not almighty, superpower, can do anything they want and get away with it type of people. They have their enemies too that'll snitch on them in a second. There is no one dictator that decides everything. Not even President Obama, not Justin Trudeau, not nobody. Nobody. No one person can dictate what the entire masses are going to do. In a way, it would be good if there were, assuming that one person had the right ideas and, didn't send us into an unwinnable situation. I'm not going to waste my time going to school. I don't feel like jumping through hoops. I don't feel like reading big, long, boring books and potentially not even getting a job after that. I want someone to approach me in a private forum on the internet so that we can have a discussion where intellect prevails. It's not just someone who shuts you down immediately when you start talking because they want to keep the conversation dumbed down. They want to either keep it dumbed down or the forum's a dead zone where no activity is happening. Because I would like to discuss the Necronomicon. Because there are certain events that have happened, and more they're being recorded for the purpose of propaganda. As I explained in the Vietnam video, as a mechanism to prevent people from wanting to engage or otherwise fight whatever opponent. The very thought of this might happen to you if they catch you is going to demoralize the men. Or anybody. It would. This sort of stuff is, it's just, it's too hardcore. I did say in a video that I wanted to see the video clip of the Vietnamese sergeant shooting that Viet Cong guy and his brains popping out the side of his head. That wasn't true at all. I don't really want to see it. I will watch it if it were presented to me, but I'm not into that thing. Like, I don't get anything out of it. But I don't want people to have the wrong opinion on certain aspects of the Necronomicon. Because getting back to it, the thing is, a lot of people don't think about it, a lot of people don't understand it, a lot of people think it's even phony baloney, it's just a movie. Well, movies have a way of caricaturing actual things. So, The Living Dead, Army of Darkness, they are caricatures. They're goofy most of the time, but that book is real, and it's in the hands of people who are creepy. Speaking of creepy, there was a TV show called Tales from the Crypt, which also depicted a Necronomicon type thing, where the Crypt Keeper told stories that depicted that. Now, I watched a fair amount of Tales from the Crypt, and to be honest with you, most of the episodes were very bad. They're little distractions from what the actual concept of the show is. Now, the movie that was made with Billy Zane was quite a not bad movie, but even that had its faults. This Crypt Keeper, they portrayed him as a decrepit skeleton thing with no nose and things like that. But I'm telling you, within the government, there were old men who were in possession of Necronomicons, of books, of video footage, and things like that, and that's all they think about. That's all they care about. And life and death, it doesn't mean the same thing to them as it would a regular person, because they've been corrupted by this book. This book is like Sauron's ring from Lord of the Rings. It'll corrupt, distort, and otherwise turn evil anyone who looks upon it and is in possession of it. So I can see the government's reasoning for not really letting us know about it, but kind of letting us know about it through bogus, waste your time media outlets like the Faces of Death, where a lot of it was fake, or the Philando Castile shooting, and little things like that. It's a little hint that this sort of thing happens, and it can be quite shocking. I mean, granted, there are people who do go through real life situations where things just go wrong, and it's a traumatizing event for them. That happens more so in the States than it does around here. But things can go wrong anywhere. And even though they may not record it, that will become a chapter of the Necronomicon, their understanding of it, within them. Because most of them won't forget the situation that they were in. That can happen to anybody. Doesn't matter how nice you are. Doesn't matter if you're an asshole. It can happen to anybody. And I mean, what more can you add to that? I've just I'll leave this video at that. Get back to the subject a little bit later. I'll figure out exactly what new information I can bring to the table so that people can understand that there are people, scary people, who have scary secrets. And you're just not human if it doesn't make your skin crawl whenever you think about it. And if you never think about it, then you are the very definition of a sheeple. You don't know. You have a limited information, a limited intelligence, and that's a disadvantage because things can go south a lot faster than you think. So anyway, don't be a dumbass, okay? Anyway, talk to you guys later.